my class who wants to do some math. Mr. H, garage math, solve equations.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I think we covered this, no S. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Mr. Henriksen, Mark Henriksen. This is my garage, hence we call this garage math. Let's see, in my world, it's been a bit since we've checked in. We're going to continue geometry. We're going to talk about some prisms today. Now, we went through a little heat spell here in California, Arizona actually. I got to experience last weekend something that I've never done in all of my life, which involves a lot of years because I'm old. I went to, hopefully you can see it on the camera. I went to Arizona and I went to spring training for the first time ever. I grabbed two teenagers that belong to me, a teenager that's a friend of theirs, and we road tripped it to Arizona. We went to 3 games and it was an amazing experience. I can't wait to go back again. We went to 3 different A's games, and what was cool about it is they were in different stadiums each day. So the first game, it was at the Stadium of the Guardians, and then the second day, it was at the A Stadium, and then the third day, it was at the White Sox Stadium. And there's 15 teams that play in Arizona. The rest of the teams play in Florida, which they call the Grapefruit League. The Arizona League is called the Cactus League, and you have access to their practices. It's not just the games themselves. You go to the facilities. There's like 6 or 7 fields for each facility. And I'm just doing the math. There's like 900,000 baseball fields in the Phoenix area because that's where all the teams practice. So what they do with those fields during the rest of the year, I'm not sure, but they sure do a whole lot of baseball. They also went through a heat spell. It was like low 90s, mid 90s, but currently, I guess after we left, it was like 104. So we had water and sunblock and hot dogs. What more do you need? It was just the fellas, so we didn't really have to eat any vegetables or salads. So it was great. It was a good trip. I look forward to going back. Baseball starts this Wednesday. I think the Yankees are playing at the Giants on Netflix. So that's kind of cool. And then everybody else starts the next day or the day after. So that's baseball. That's what's happening. Basketball, March Madness, cool. Oh, hey, my first exposure to the World Baseball Classic. That was cool. Venezuela, good for them. I don't want to be all sounding like a crybaby because I'm an American, but it's just a preseason exhibition. These dudes aren't ready to play. Like, spring training still. So, but whatever, they lost, that's fine. I think they're gonna try to do it for the Olympics. That'll be a different story because the players will be like in the middle of summer, they're gonna be warmed up, they can pitch a little bit longer. The question would be whether they wanna do it or would they just take the rest. But it works out for hockey, so I think doing it in the middle of the season would be better. But Venezuela won, that was cool. The dude walked the leadoff batter in the last inning, and of course he's gonna score. I was actually watching it on an airplane with my kid on his phone. And if you know nothing about baseball, you probably just wish you can have this last 3 minutes back of your life. But you can't, because that's not the way the world works. Sometimes you just have to deal with things. Am I right? Okay, so hey, let's put the baseball down and let's talk about some surface area. What surface area is, basically you're gonna have these prisms, and then you're gonna find the area of all of the sides. So why do we need to know this? Well, because what if you had a gift and your gift was in a box and you had to wrap this present and you go, I don't ever measure the surface area, I just wrap it. Yeah, but what if the wrapping paper was solid gold sheets and you only wanted to give your friend who you're giving the present to the exact amount of wrapping paper that takes to cover this, because you don't want to cut and waste any because it's solid gold wrapping paper. So you have to find the surface area. So basically you have to figure out how many sides there are in these prisms. They're 3-dimensional. And then you just have to find the area of each side and add them all up. Sometimes it's quick, like a cube, and sometimes you have to do a little extra work. But you need to know the area of a cube, of a rectangle, of a triangle. We've done that. I even have one on here. I can't bring that other finger to match up with those. Ow! And we're even going to do a trapezoidal pyramid. So anywho, we're going to go ahead and get started on this. These are just them. So I just copied these out of a book. So it's not like you need step-by-step directions on how to do these. I just looked and I copied them. I was actually really proud of these. All right, a cube's different than a rectangular prism because all the sides are the same. And what makes this a triangular prism, here's the thing, I did 2 of them. The trick is, it's whatever the base is. That's kind of how you name the shape. And you have to say, well, what's the base? Base means bottom. Yeah, but it's not always the bottom. This times it is. So if you look right here, that's a triangle. And then there's a matching top, right? So that's called the base. If you find the area of this base, you just have to multiply by 2. Well, that one, you're like, whoa, that's a rectangular prism because the base, which is the bottom, this is laying flat, but it's not true because the base is going to have a matching top. So you have to kind of visualize this. Because if you took this thing right here and I went, ready? It would then stand up and this would be the base. And the reason why we know that would be the base is because it has a matching top. This right here, which you might think is the base because it's flat right now, it doesn't have a match because it's kind of a point on the top. So that's pretty much how you figure out what the base is. Sometimes I'll have them laying sideways. Sometimes I'll have them laying like this. So you just have to figure out who has a matching top and who has a matching bottom. That's considered the base. And we're going to do one of each of these. We're going to do a cube, a rectangular prism, a triangular prism, and a trapezoidal prism. Sure. All right, so I just wanted to show you what these are called, okay? Surface area prisms. And I hope my phone doesn't die. My phone evidently has storage issues, and I wrote all these down. It's like an hour to do all these shapes, so I can't start this video over. So what's my point? My point is I guess I should just get going a little quicker. Okay, this right here is called a rectangular prism. Now, when you find the surface area of these, when you find the surface area of these prisms, yes, what you have to do is keep it fairly organized, right? So for this guy, we have a matching bottom and we have a matching top, okay? Are you making some lunch? And then you have a matching side and a matching side. Now, I'm not gonna scribble the front part because it'll just obliterate everything. And then you have a front and you have a back. So really you have 3 sets of doubles. Okay, so we're just gonna do maybe the bottom and the top. You could call it the base, but remember, if you flip it over, that'd be the base. Or if you knocked it over, that'd be the base. Okay, so this bottom part, we just have to use our numbers. That's a rectangle, 5 times 4, so that means that's the same. So again, we're gonna try to keep these fairly neat. So 5 times 4, that's 20, where there's another 20, okay? So times 2 equals 40. So what I like to do is circle them as I go. So this and this is 40 squared inches. Now this side, you have 8 and you have 4. So 8 times 4 is this. And then you multiply by 2 because there's another side. Okay, so I'm gonna do that all in one step. 8 times 4 times 2. Remember, 8 times 4 is this, but there's 2 of them, so we multiply by 2. 32 times 2 is 64, okay? Cool. Now we have this one. This one's gonna be the biggest because you can tell the numbers are the biggest. So this front guy who has a matching backside, that's 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. But again, your teacher wants you to show knowledge. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. So we have the area for all of them, and then now all we have to do is add them together. So let's just use our brain. We don't even need a calculator for this one. And we're gonna use the commutative property of addition. 80 plus 40 is 120. 120 plus 64 is 184. So you will need 184 square inches of gold wrapping paper to wrap that present. That must be a real dear friend. Because if the wrapping paper is made out of gold, I wonder what's inside the present. Okay, again, it's the little 2 because this is area. We are gonna get to volume pretty soon, okay? But we're not there yet. Okay, so this dude is the quickest of them all. And I'm gonna hit pause and I want you to say out loud why this is quicker than this. And pause. Okay, I bet you said, we don't need to do like 3 different things and multiply them by 2. Because if you have a cube, then you have 6 of the same side. So you just have to find one side and multiply it by. Sweet. Okay, so all of these lead, that's 6 times 6, that's 36, 36, 36, 36. So again, if your teacher wants you to show knowledge, you just say, yo teacher, that's my knowledge. 36 times 6, okay? 36 times 6 is 216 yards squared. 216 yards squared. See how much quicker that was? Okay, so if that was 5 and that was 5, you'd go 5 times 5 times 6, okay? So that is called the surface area, the area of the surface, which is the outside. Okay. Hey, today I'm taking my bride. We're gonna go see the movies today. A movie. It's the Ryan Gosling space movie. I think he's a teacher. I got some time on my hands. Maybe I can figure out how to go to space. I don't know anything else other than that. I haven't really seen any previews, but I do know it has pretty good reviews. So we're gonna go to the 2 o'clock movie. That way you can have dinner afterwards. My kids are running a track meet out of Sacramento, so they're not even home. Okay, so what I do want you to do, these are the last 2. Here's what I want you to do. Now this one you might forget. Hopefully you can see that. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that. I'll read you the numbers when we get there. This is called a triangular prism. Let me teach you a little trick. The way you figure out how many faces there are on these prisms, you just have to figure out how many sides the base has, and then you add 2. So the base of this, we've already talked about, the base of this is a triangle because this has a matching top. So if this has 3 sides, you add 2, the whole thing has to have 5 faces, okay? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So if you think about it for a rectangular prism, the base is a rectangle. How many sides are in a rectangle? 4. You just have to add 2 more, that's 6. How many faces are on a rectangular prism? 6. 4 plus 2. Because you can have an octagonal prism. Well, that would have 10. Okay, because 8 plus 2 is 10. All right, it even works for this trapezoid because the trapezoid, the base has 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 sides to the trapezoid. 4 plus 2 is 6, and there's 6 sides. 1, bottom 2, back 3, 4, 5, 6. What? Don't worry about it. Okay, so we gotta do this problem. We gotta keep it kind of organized. I always like to start with the bases because then you just multiply by 2. So the base of this is a triangle. Okay, this is a triangle, base times height divided by 2. 4 times 5 divided by 2. 4 times 5 divided by 2. So you have 4 times 5 divided by 2, 20 divided by 2 equals 10. Now some of you are probably screaming at your computers and your phones going, you don't have to divide it by 2 because there's 2 of them and you can just keep them divided by 2 away because that's going to end up being 20 anyways. You're correct, because we have 2 of these. So the area of this triangle is 10 feet squared, but there's another matching area, 10 times 2 is 20. So if we would have just not done that, we could have just kept it at 20. But what else? Okay. And I always like to circle these because it kind of tells me that that's what I'm going to add up at the end. Okay, so we've done this and that. You added them together, it's 20. So now you can just do the other ones on your own. This one, whoa, like a tent, like this. This side matches this side, right? So this side matches that side. So you just have to find this rectangle and multiply by 2. Okay, so this rectangle is 13 times 7. 13 times 7, okay? So you have 13 times 7. Now, there's another side on the back, so we're just going to multiply by 2 all in a row. So 13 times 7 times 2. 13 times 7 times 2. I got 182, okay? 182. All right, so now we just have one more face on this prism. It's this guy. This is the last one. He doesn't have a match. The other ones all had a match. That one doesn't have a match, okay? So that rectangle is 13 times 5. And you have all these numbers. You just have to make sure you keep them in order, okay? So I gotta write a little small because I'm using up too much room. Because my trapezoids. Okay, we can use distributive property. 5 times 10 is 50. 5 times 3 is 15. That's 65. Okay, and what's the last thing, y'all, we have to do? What's the last thing we have to do? We have to add them all up. Okay, that's why we circle them, so we can just find them easily. 20 plus 182 plus 65. I have 267. 267. And I'm going to write it up here. 267 feet squared. That is the surface area, 267 feet squared, of that triangular prism. Okay, now here's what I want you to do. This is the final problem. I'm going to give you a little tip to get you started. Then you're going to hit pause, and you're going to find it before I do it. Okay? And then we'll match or not match. Maybe you're right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But one thing you do need to know, and we've done this in another video, but I'll put it up here anyways. The area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times height times base 1 plus base 2. It looks a lot harder than it really is. So this is a trapezoid. There's a bottom one as well, okay? These are just rectangles. Those are gonna be a piece of cake. But the area formula of a trapezoid is 1/2 times height. That's why we had to put that guy in red, because that's the height of the trapezoid. Okay, so knowing that formula, knowing that there's 6 faces here, knowing we need to sort of keep it organized, I need you to hit pause. You have to get out a piece of paper and a pencil. If you're just sitting here enjoying the show going, whoa, what's Mr. H up to? That's cool, knuckle bump. But I do want you to do one problem, okay? So that's sort of our deal. Okay, and pause. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the trapezoid first. And since I already have the formula, we just gotta plug the stuff in. Okay, so 1/2 height. The height of the trapezoid is 4. Okay. Again, base 1 or 2, it doesn't matter either way. That's 6, that's 12. That's 6, that's 12. So we're gonna go 6 plus 12. Okay, half of 4 is 2. 6 plus 12 is 18. That equals 36. So the area of that trapezoid on top is 36, which means the one on the bottom is also 36. Show your teacher knowledge. That's 72. You combine the trapezoids together and you get 72 inches squared. Cool. Now all we have are 4 rectangles left. Piece of cake, okay? 2 of them match. This dude and this dude are the same. So that's a rectangle, and you can see 5 times 2. Hopefully you can see 5 times 2. Can you see the numbers? Yeah, your eyes are pretty good. 5 times 2. Well, 5 times 2 is 10. So again, show your teacher knowledge. Draw a little line. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 2. So you got to go 5 times 2 is 10, but there's 2 of them. So 10, that's 20. Okay? So that's 10. That's 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay, we've knocked out 4 of the faces. Now we have 2 left and they don't match. We have to do them individually, okay? This front guy, okay? This front guy is 6. Well, I almost said times 5. That'd be wrong. That's 2, because look, that 2 right there, 6 times 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. That's the front guy, okay? And then the back guy is bigger than the front guy, because you got to kind of picture this rectangle in the back. Let me get a different color. All right, here we go. This back rectangle. Okay, so it's 12 times 2. Remember, the 2 is still 2. It's 2 times 12. 12 times 2 equals 24. Okay? I mean, this just shows knowledge. So if you're getting these wrong or getting them right, you're proving to your teacher that you're showing them individually. The math's not ridiculously hard. You're not just writing like one stupid answer that nobody knows where the numbers come from. Okay, all we gotta do now is add it all together. All we gotta do is add it all together. And I bet I could have done that in my head, but I got my calculator, so why not? And the answer is, ooh, I got 128. Did you get 128? 128 inches squared. All right, 128 inches squared. Make sure you always put your unit, put the little 2. So that's surface area prisms. There's all sorts of other prisms. You can do as many prisms as you want, okay? The one thing about going to spring training was these manicured fields and they're out doing batting practice and ground balls and all this other stuff. I wanted to play baseball so bad. Maybe next time I'll tell you. We went to the batting cages. I actually did okay, but my kids took one video of me swinging from like 60 swings I took, and they took video for one swing, and it was, and I missed it, but I think I was just warming up. Anyways, that's all I have for you, okay? So we're gonna have some more lessons down the road. I am gonna go to the movies today, so I don't have any more time today, plus these take forever to draw the shapes. And that's all I have to say about that. I feel like there's a few more things to catch up on, but we still have time, okay? I hope everybody out there is doing well. Less than 3 months till summer vacation. Peace.